something, you have to do it. I don't need to tell you all the time. Is it clear? Why you guys don't
Yes.
respond in time? Turn your cam on, everyone. Hurry up. I don't see anyone's cam here. What's the problem? Everyone, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Okay, boys, I'm sharing the screen. I see only one person on the cam. That is Abdul Rafi. No one else. Okay. Uh, so, boys, Khilafat movement. Can somebody tell me what was Khilafat movement?
The Khilafat movement was a movement by the Indian Muslims because after the British, when the British were against the Ottoman Empire, the British defeated the Germans, and they also shamed them. The Muslims said that the British should respect the Ottoman Empire.
Okay. The other guys, let me know how can I make you understand. This Zafar Zain, these two have turned the cam on. The rest of you, how can I make you understand? Hassan Bajwa, Huzafa, Muhammad Abdul Rahman, Muhammad Ashir. Are you there? Do I need to call your parents? Kundi, Noor Muhammad, Zain. Should I be convincing all the time to turn your cams on? Is it not enough that ideally you be doing yourself, but isn't it enough that I'm asking 2, 3, 4 times? Turn your cam on, everyone. I mean, everyone. And don't focus on cam. Just turn it on and forget about cam. Listen to me. Focus on listening, not on your pose, picture. Forget about. Forget about your background. Forget about your foreground. Just listen to me. Are you listening to me, everyone? Yes?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now listen, listen. I'm sharing the screen with you. It's shared, right, already. You see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Write down this.
Yes, sir.
Write down this question. Okay, good. Write down this question. First of all,
I
everyone,
see the
hurry up.
question.
Why? Why was?
So the screen is stuck. Yes, sir. It's lagged.
Okay, no problem. We can fix it. You can hear to me. So just write. Why was Khilafat movement? You can follow me. Why was Khilafat movement formed? Is it clear? It's a 7 marks question. Why was Khilafat movement formed? Write down this question, everyone. Here. Okay. Now, why was Khilafat movement formed? Is it clear? Question is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Reason number one. Write down the reason number one, everyone. Muslims of India feared the breakup of Ottoman Empire after the World War One. Now this is the main point. Now you can write the detail of this point. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Number two reason is basically this one. I'll make a deep-seated Muslim fear about British policy. Now you see here that British policy, deep-seated Muslim fears about British policy. Now this is reason number two. Explanation of this reason is given in these 4 points, so you can just summarize it. That in Afghanistan and Persia, Britain and Russia did not give any weightage to the local population, Muslim population. Uh, British policy towards Muslim in India was also like unfair. They wanted to create a fear in the Muslims. Of the Hindus, and overall it was, the British were not fair to the Muslims everywhere, including India. So these 4 points will give you the explanation of this and the reason to start the movement. A deep-seated Muslim fears about British policy regarding Muslims. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Have you written it down, and you can on your book you can mark the explanation in these 4 points. You will read all 4 points and you will summarize these into very brief small sentences which you can then write in explanation of this reason. So this reason with these following point would be a very good one paragraph. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, be alive and be active. What's wrong? Is there anything wrong?
No, sir.
And be lively. You don't have to pose anything like to be very serious. You can be like just relax, just follow. These are very simple things. There is nothing difficult, and just relax at the same time, right? Clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I don't know why these other guys. Why are they shy of camera? Because I know this is one reason also. People are shy of camera, right? Ahmed Alam, how are you?
Sir, I'm
Okay, good. That's great. Okay, now listen to me. Abdurrahman, you disappear, right? You were there, but you disappeared then. And move.
Yes, sir, my network
Okay,
is causing
okay.
problem.
Uh, you should not be causing problem. Network. Okay, we can deal it. Okay, now listen. This point two is clear. Point two is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
point one. This point one basically. This point one which I mentioned here. You can write it over here, and the explanation of this point number one, you can is this one. Now what is this? This is basically the breakup of Ottoman Empire, the breakup of Ottoman Empire. So you can see that the Khilafat movement was started in India by the Indian Muslim because they feared the breakup of Ottoman Empire. Now I want uh, any one of you to read these 3 4 paragraphs. Let me check. Hassan, can you read?
Yes, sir.
Okay, read first paragraph, second, third, three.
The First World War
Guys, just
entered.
listen attentively. It's very simple. Yes.
During the First World War, the Turks had fought on the side of the Germans against Britain. This created a serious problem for the British in India. They wanted the Indian Muslims to fight in the war against the Turks, but they knew that Indian Muslims would not take part in any fighting, which led to the Khalifa being overthrown or his empire being dismantled. To solve the problem, the British informed the Indian Muslims that the British would respect the rights of the Khalifa and that the Turkish Empire would be maintained. As a result of this promise, thousands of Muslims joined the British army. During the war, the British imprisoned some leading Muslims such as Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar and his brother Maulana Shaukat Ali to try to prevent opposition within India.
Okay, now listen. Next paragraph, two paragraphs. Who can read? Anyone?
Sir, can I?
Yes, please, Arya.
At the end of the war, peace treaties were drawn up showing how the defeated nations were to be treated. The Treaty of Versailles set out that would happen to Germany.
Versailles.
Versailles set out what would happen to Germany. Its armed forces were greatly reduced, its colonies taken away, and the country was split in two by the creation of a new country, Poland. The Germans were also forced to pay a huge sum to the victorious allies for the damage caused by the fighting. Similar measures were taken against Germany's ally Austria. These treaties worried the Muslims in India. In view of the punishments imposed upon Germany and Austria, it was difficult to see how Turkey could be treated any differently. Indeed, the British Prime Minister Lloyd
Lloyd.
George felt strongly that the Turkish Empire should be split up in the same way that Germany and Austria had seen their empires taken away. The Indian Muslims were outraged at this suggestion and began to organize opposition to the British plan.
Okay, now listen. These are four, five, six paragraphs. This is quite lengthy. You can't write all of this in explanation. So very simple. We excuse it up like this, that Ottomans or Turks sided Germany in the World War One. Okay, uh, as German lost the war, and they faced with humiliating treaties like Treaty of Versailles, in which its size was reduced, territories were taken, and heavy punishments and fines, etc. Same fate was awaiting for Turkey. So Muslim of India, they they started this movement in order to protect the Ottoman, as British promised them during the course of war that the Khalifa, rights of Khalifa, and the Turkish Empire would be maintained. But at the end of the war, Muslim realized that British have no intention to fulfill their promise, or rather, they were prepared to split Turkey in the same way as Germany or Austria. So they started this opposition. So you can see now that I have just taken points from all these paragraphs and skews it to kind of this much paragraph. Did you understand this all? How to?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, okay, so this is your point number two, and point number two, that Muslims, which we wrote up there, you can follow here. Muslims of India feared breakup of Ottoman Empire after World War One. So that is true. Now, reason number three why was started, the love and regard or respect for Caliph and Caliphate. The love and regard for the Caliph, Khalifa, and Khilafat. Okay. Now, this is very simple point. We have already discussed that Turkey was a Muslim country and its ruler, the Sultan, was considered to be Khalifa, the head of worldwide Islamic community. He ruled over an empire which included important religious centers such as Mecca, Jerusalem, and Medina, and was known as the Khilafat. The Sultan was a figure of immense importance in the Muslim world. When the British threatened to take territory away from the Khalifa, Muslims in India were outraged and formed the Khilafat movement to protect the Sultan and their religion. So, very comprehensive interpretation and other reason, right? So with these three reasons, one and three, two, one, you can very easily answer the question we mentioned about why was Khilafat movement formed, and from these reasons also you can understand that what was the movement all about. Is this clear to you guys now?
Yes, sir, clear.
Yes, sir.
To everyone, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
There are 14 boys, 5 with cameras and rest not. Though I repeated this time and again that you got to turn it on. And I don't know like if there is any other way to make you understand. Can you suggest me some way like those who are on camera? Can you suggest some way to how to, convince others? Yes, boys, Abdul Rafi, Uzaifa, Ahmad Nawaz. Is there any way to convince others as well? Yes, you are not saying anything, boys.
Teachers.
Yes, Abdul Rafi.
So you can message in groups like other teachers.
Uh, okay. Anyways, if you are not listening, like not following, then the only best way is to call your parents. So I'm gonna call, and I will see that what like if you don't listen to me, I've told you to turn on, and some of you did, and the rest don't. So that's not the way. Anyways, is this question clear? These both questions clear? What's the movement and why was formed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Okay,
it's
now
clear.
follow from the book and the points and explanation. The best way is to like the way now you read one or two, you read it, and then find out the important points and just make one paragraph out of all of this for the explanation of each reason. So three reason by this you also can basically recall the pattern of 7 mark question in which you state a reason and you give an explanation. So this pattern should always be very clear that if it is a 7 mark question, what I have to do, I need to find three reasons and then I need to have proper explanation of each reason in a separate paragraph. If I follow this way, then I can get good grades like 7 out of 7 even. So that is it. Now boys, next topic which is related to the Khilafat movement was establishment of the Khilafat movement. What does establishment of the Khilafat movement mean? That what did it do? How we discussed started. Now we need to know that it was started. So what happened actually? How did it grow? How was it established? How did it like move on? So simply, what was the course of the movement, or what were the activities under the movement? Activities. So what kind of activities were carried out? One more thing you need to understand, and this is very important. When we say Indian opposed the British, when we say Muslims were outraged and they started the movement, opposition, what do you understand? What sort of activities Indians carried out then? When we say they opposed, like we use this, we will be using, we are using this that Indian opposed the Monteith-Chelmsford reforms, right? Just 1919, we discussed now. Indian opposed it. We discuss Hindus or Congress opposed the partition of Bengal. Or the Rowlatt Act was opposed. So what do you think? What sort of activities Indian carried out in the opposition to the British? Anyone? Arya?
So, sir, they did protests and used to carry out movements such as the Swadeshi movement.
Okay, very good, very good. This is what I wanted to make you all understand and realize that our freedom struggle was political. Our freedom struggle was
Political. Political.
Political. Political. It was not an armed struggle. Usually, freedom movements are more or less armed struggle. Armed struggle mean that where people fight against the occupation forces, like American War of Independence. We also did this, our War of Independence, 1857, but we lost it. And afterwards, what did we do? Afterwards, we, with the cooperation of the British government, we started our next phase of struggle was political. And when it says political struggle, then your opposition to the government would mean protest, as mentioned, protest, or in the case of British Swadeshi movement, boycott of British good, basically. That is also a protest. Strikes, not to go to offices, like people who were in the service, they would not go to office. You will go out on street and protest. Even in Pakistan, if you see, when opposition parties, now we are not fighting any freedom movement, but opposition parties, those who are not in the government, whenever they see something is going on wrong, so they go on protest. They will go on streets. They will, carry out processions or will hold. Is it clear to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
And
sir.
one thing more, you should know that protest, peaceful protest, legal protest, constitutional protest, protest within the boundaries of the law is your fundamental right, being the citizen of any state. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
According to the law of the state, if the state provides you, if it is a democracy, and then legal protest is your right, and that is why you see that governments usually they allow the opposition parties to protest, and in more advanced democracies like in West, these protests are rather more peaceful as compared to in the third world countries. Usually we see that they end up fighting and then police comes in and restore law and order situation, thing like that. But generally protest is your right, and this right, even during the British time, British provided this right to the Indians, that they can protest, express their views, express their opinion. So now this Khilafat movement was also a protest. Non-cooperation movement was already going on in India. You know why? Why was non-cooperation movement there at this time, 1920?
So Gandhi started the non-cooperation movement because it wanted more size, larger size in the councils.
What other than this? Actually, non-cooperation movement was going on. It was in opposition to Monteague-Chelmsford reforms, opposition to Rowlatt Act, opposition to Amritsar massacre. What happened to the Indian after the World War One? They immensely supported, if you remember, hundred thousands of the Indians, they fought by the side of the British and they lost their lives. And what happened to them in the end? That instead of sharing power, British used power to silence them. So Amritsar massacre happened. So because of this situation, the non-cooperation movement was already going on. Now that Muslim feared that British were not going to spare Ottoman or Turkey, so they also joined it. Now in India, the situation in 1920 was quite boiling mean. Everyone was onto the street protesting against the British. We will continue with the course of the Khilafat movement, activities of the Khilafat movement in the next lesson. Till then, please, you go through these topics what we discussed today. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then Allah Hafiz and take care. Bye.
Laugh,
La-
sir.
Allah Hafiz,
Allah.
everyone. Allah Hafiz.